We are back. This is the Insiders Table. As you can see, Rocco Tobin Leger. He is here with some inside information. We gave you some inside scoop on the opening part of the show with Dave Wagner, the Laney's game, the Sampsons game. Now, Rocco was involved with that, but we've already covered that. But remember, folks, I wanted to get the name of the player that was dominating, the only player that dominated for the Ravens and was catching balls deep, pause, in SOS coverage. He was getting single, doubled, and triple teamed, pause. But his name is?
Bryan Murray.
All right, so Brian, let's give a little shout out to you for that performance. I actually thought the Ravens had a good team. I just feel like they had some bad breaks, as we mentioned, with 4 interceptions in the first half, 3 of those bouncing off receivers' hands or bodies. So there you have it with that. Is there anything else, Insider, that you can give us regarding either co-ed or men's from this past weekend?
Well, the rumor on the street is that Billy Chanot, the quarterback of Jiffy, may have broken his ankle, which just adds disaster to a Jiffy Mart season that's already kind of gone down the tube. So we wish him the best of luck. I think that's really the only piece of insider information that's interesting.
Okay, anything from co-ed that you want to bring up, or Colin?
Well, I liked how you guys said that we were simply a product of our schedule, which I agree.
Yes.
But a little rough saying that guaranteed first-round bounce.
No one
just so you're aware, myself, Jimmy Sitz, the coach of Riff Raff, were discussing at the bar on Saturday exactly how to try to avoid silver bullets round 1. And Dow Lanes was saying that as well. Now, here's an interesting, Dow Lanes and Riff Raff play each other, and word on the street is both teams are going to throw as many interceptions as possible to try not to get that number 1 seed. That's what came out of Jimmy Sitt's mouth. He was about 33 drinks deep because it was Melissa's birthday. Then
that's not the reason.
Kelly smashed her in the face with cake, licked it off. It was some team bonding.
Listen, Jimmy's 33 drinks in because it's daytime.
Because it's a day that ends in Y.
That's all it is. But anyway, okay, so that's some good scoop right there. I mean, to throw a game, though, I'd have to say we'd throw you right out of the league. But other than that, the key thing here is we have those 2 teams playing. Can you give us your last 3 games if you know who they are?
Our last 3 games are against McGeary's Hobags, Dark Side, and Silver Bullets.
All right. So,
yeah.
So you're going to earn it.
We're going to earn it.
If you get the top seed, you're going to
We're going to blow it.
I'll tell you what, though.
Before you
go ahead.
off
Go,
that,
please.
If you get the top seed, or if they do a better job of tanking than you guys do, and you play Silver Bullets on the last week of the season, that could be a 2-week.
I think we play Silver Bullets week 7, actually.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right. I'm going to go on record, though. They can win 2 out of those 3.
I think 7-1 is where we're seeing ourselves finishing as well.
Yeah, they'll beat up on the Hobags.
Right.
They'll struggle with Dark Side, but for whatever reason, Dark Side is not Dark Side this year.
Correct.
So they'll probably beat them, and then they lose to the Silver Bullets in that middle game.
Yeah, and I think they play the Silver Bullets tough. It's just that the Silver Bullets has had so many bad breaks.
I mean, for
last minute change. I'm still talking with last minute losses. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rocco.
No, I'm just saying. For me, it's a really emotional game because me and Dula have such a good friendship.
You really do.
You know, I don't want anyone to lose that game.
Is it true that for that game you're going to go in as a defensive rusher?
I'm actually going to play in the secondary. I want an interception off of him.
All right.
Wow. If you do that, I'm retired. I am retired.
You already are.
No, I'm retired from even going. If he's playing secondary, no, because some crazy stuff could happen where he gets thrown right to you, and you don't drop balls when they come right to you.
Well, let's also throw out this just in case everybody's watching during the week. We're going to be at Ridge Park and Hoffman Park this week because of an event going on in Lincoln Park. Jen K will be posting the schedule to the captains to let you know which field you'll be at. The times and opponents will remain the same. Now, folks, it's time to get into the games of the week in the A division. This one's going to be a good one because many think these 2 teams will be in the championship. However, I'm going to go on record to say that I can speak for the entire committee here of people at this table, not the committee, of course, for the league, that it's no lock that Laney's makes the championship, right?
I concur.
You do concur on that.
And no disrespect to you, but the fact that they struggled against your C team, and you were down you were up 20-6, and they had to come back, and only because of a implosion on your team did they come back and win that game. Maybe Laney's isn't as strong as, obviously they're not as strong as they've been in years past, but maybe they're not even as strong as we thought they were at the beginning of the season, to where they were going to be, it was going to be Laney's and Blaze and Laney's.
Yeah.
It was just a foregone conclusion. That may not be the case anymore.
I agree, and I think this is what's so great about the A division this year is, yeah, Blaze is the clear-cut number one, but there are a few teams vying for that second and third position, and that gives teams something to fight for. That makes it interesting. So I think that this AAA format is working out very well.
I do too. I wasn't sure at first, but guys are really more into the A division this year because there's more teams involved. You have 9 different opponents. There's a lot of little idiosyncrasies as far as the standings will go toward the end of the season. Who's going to place where, AA, single A, 2 separate champions, that kind of thing is really making for a more interesting A division compared to the past few seasons. So
and I think
go
the
ahead,
best
please.
move you could have made was when you made the B division full rush in preparation for the A division, because it's not as big as a shock as it would be going from the 2 miss straight to the straight rush.
Right. I'm glad we're straight on a couple of those things.
Well, 2 out of the 3.
Yeah, because that's first in many, many shows that we've talked straight to.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, I got some in my
not at
family.
all.
And
Right.
I still love them, just from a distance.
All right, before we go into our picks, Rocco, would you like to give a shout-out to Monica from Justin's?
Hi, Monica.
Or Omar.
Maybe we'll see you tonight.
Okay. Colin, you're up first. Basically, Rocco already gave us the scoop on the game, so we'll go to you first for your pick.
I'm going to take the Blaze to go to 6-0. I think they're going to run the table and finish the A division undefeated.
Makes sense. Rocco?
I think that the Blaze will win as well, and I think that the key is going to come down to the Blaze D-line versus the Laney's O-line, and the fact that Jim Schellenberger isn't as mobile as he used to be. I think Tony Murray and Brandon are going to get it done. Kenny's a big body to fill up the middle. Pause. And I know that our D-line was able to get some pressure on Schellenberger, and the Blaze D-line is in a different class. So I think that's the key to the game. Blaze win by at least 2 scores. Now, I will say one thing. Last year, when Blaze beat Laney's during the regular season, all the talk was, yeah, you beat us during the regular season. You would have never beaten us in the playoffs. You've never beat us in the playoffs. So maybe that's what Laney's is going to hang their hat on again, saying that they're a playoff team, and when the lights get bright, the Blaze can't hang with them. But I don't agree.
Is Schellenberger their regular quarterback, or is someone he's filling in for?
Schellenberger's their regular quarterback.
Okay.
And no disrespect to him, I just feel it's a bad move because Nick Carr, I think, is a better quarterback than he is because of his mobility and the fact that he's such a great athlete and he's so young at this point that he seems to really generate some fire under that offense's ass. Pause. And, you know, I think he does a better job. So I don't know if there's going to be ever a change, though, because then what happens? You have Schellenberger and Carr that are really good friends, and they're going to be, I don't know if that means that if that marriage happens, does that mean that
Their family.
Carr will now be his stepson?
Well, jeez.
No, I'm kidding. But, you know, the bottom line is this is going to be a telltale game. You know, if he's just getting completely dominated by the defensive line like Rocco predicts, then I think, you know, you got to make a change at some point, or at least get the ball into Nick Carr's hands more often. So go ahead.
But you know what you could do with Schellenberger? You put Carr at quarterback, move Schellenberger back to that H-back, that blocking back. Let him pick up some pressure. If nobody's there, have him leak out through the gaps.
He's a tremendous blocker.
Yeah.
You know, he's
and that's where he made a lot of his plays when he was in his youth with the Cannoneers and those guys. Have him in the blocking back, that H-back position.
Yes.
If no pressure comes, then he can go out for the pattern.
And he also on defense can play linebacker very well. So there's places for him. It's not like he'd have to go to the sideline. So it's a matter of what Laney's wants to do. And I think this game is going to tell them, hey, are we going to stay the course even if we get beat up in this game? Or do we want to make a change and make a run for a championship? So a great game coming up.
2 quick points.
Sure.
One, I think Nick Carr would be better and would be faster on the field if he took off the winter hat. It's not that cold out yet, Nick. You need the aerodynamics.
Well, that's really... Go ahead. What's your second
2,
point?
I'd like to bring up, Schellenberger's a competitor, and there was some, we'll say, talk going on between him and the Sampson squad.
Oh.
And he was maybe not quoted, but heard to say, "Go back to the bees, you bum," to Derek Bryden from Sampson's. Derek's reply was, "I have 3 touchdowns." That's really, there's no real comeback, but Schellenberger managed to say, "That's because I'm not guarding you."
But, oh, Jesus Christ. But
Just figured I'd throw that out there.
here's the comeback. Schellenberger could have came back with, and this just shut it down. Scoreboard.
We were ahead at the time.
No. Scoreboard. Because you saved that till afterwards. Scoreboard. End of discussion.
Afterwards,
But for him
Chubbs
to
and
say-
Steve Quinn
for him
almost
to
made
say
out. So
that he's got 3 touchdowns because he's not guarding him. Right.
Well, the bottom line is he also never played in the B division.
correct.
Okay, but I don't know if you were here at the point where I gave Austin and Bryden credit, but I think they were stars on that particular day, and I think that was their coming out party, for the A division.
Agreed.
Okay, so I mean, you're going to see some great things from these two, and if I'm not mistaken, Insider, Mr. Dave Austin, your quarterback, it is Dave, right? Not Pat. He is being recruited already by other teams that are looking at him.
Correct. He's been asked to play in a few tournaments with the Blaze, and his stipulation, Brandon, just so you know, is that Derek comes too.
Nice.
Pause.
Okay. I'll tell you what, and listen, I would take that offer if I'm the Blaze or anybody else that's recruiting them, because Derek's a stud as well, and he can play at that level. Anyway, folks, I'm going to go with...
Before we get off of this one really quickly,
Yes.
I have one question for you. Does he still, because when he was in the lower levels, he had a tendency to just lock on to who he was throwing the ball. How's he managing that in the A division?
I would say now 75% of his throws, he learns to look off the safety, but that is one of the things that stopped our comeback towards the end of the game. We were driving down the field. He locked onto his receiver, threw the ball, and I'll give him credit. Steve Quinn read it perfectly and picked it off to kind of seal the victory.
Okay.
But he is getting much better than he was before. However, it's a hard habit to break.
Just one word of advice too, Dave. If he goes with these guys on those tournaments, he really needs to focus on not doing that, because these guys from around the country, some of them are former pro players. So they're looking at you, and if you're locking in, you're going to have a hell of a hard time completing passes.
Agreed. Okay, folks, the other thing I wanted to ask Rocco, and I'm going to pick the Blaze as well just to make that the clean sweep, but the loss that you guys had to Laney's, was that a product of the coaching and infighting, or was it strictly on the field, or a combination?
I think a combination. I think once they started to make plays and get back in the game, guys started arguing, and because of that, no matter what we ran, we weren't executing well on defense. I think if it had been a little calmer on the sideline, maybe Dave doesn't try to get it back in one play, that type of thing. I don't think it was coaching, though. I simply think it was the infighting and kind of the arguing, kind of the tone. I think the plays that Wags calls are fairly good and work very well with our personnel. So I think it was really more just the kind of infighting and not supporting each other, not picking each other up.
Okay, there you have it, folks. So we've got a clean sweep. We're going to move on to the B division. This is a big one here. You've got Titans 4-1, and the 41 Sports Bar Titans are playing very well lately. And then you have the Cannon Barrel Saloon. Of course, that's the they're under what name right now? We didn't change it at this point.
On the Circle.
On the Circle. So that's the Terry brothers. And we're not sure this past weekend if that loss was strictly because the guys were stuck in traffic, because we know they had that issue. But when Colin and I looked at the score, 37-13, I believe it was, that's a major trashing of that team.
So the biggest reason why Cannon Barrel Pub was not successful, and even in weeks past we talked about them not blowing teams out as much as we thought, their quarterback, Matt Tomorrow, has not been able to play. He's actually on the couch, laid up. I don't know exactly what the issue is. I forgot. Ashley Jubri from Coed told me that on Saturday, that he was unable to play. So they've been trying random people at quarterback, and obviously the results are kind of devastating right now.
That's a problem. If he's home on the couch with pus coming out of where he pees, it's going to be an issue the rest of the season. So I would definitely get a shot at this point, Matt, and save Ashley as well from any problems in the future. So with that, that's a big piece of news, though, Colin. Not the pus,
Not
but
the
the
pus.
fact that he's not quarterbacking, and that's why they're having offensive issues.
But that explains it, and that's why I was fully going into this game thinking that they'll bounce back from that beatdown.
Right.
Now having that new piece of information right there, I think they fall to 4-2, and I think the Titans get this game because we saw how they struggled last week to score points, 13 points. Even if he were there, they still gave up 37. So they're not only struggling on offense to score points. Now the 37 points, that could have been a bad week defensively, but the fact that they're missing that, I'm going to go with the Titans to move to 5-1.
Okay, there you have it. Rocco?
I'm going to go with the Titans as well. But to your point, I'm not sure if their defense played bad or if the quarterback was so bad that he was giving the other team the ball, picks, interceptions, pick sixes, that type of thing. Because I will say, Cannon Barrel Pub's defense, on paper, from what I know, is very, very good. And I think that's going to be the one thing that keeps them in the game against the Titans. Brad Hughes, the quarterback from the Titans, great quarterback, methodical. His timing is there. He can make every pass, but he doesn't do great under pressure. And if you have both Terry brothers are much stronger and faster than the Titans' own line, they're going to get to him. They're going to get in his face. So to me, the key to this game is Brad being able to step up in the pocket, keep cool, and make the throws to win the game. So I actually think it's going to be a relatively close game, but I think the Titans are going to come out on top, and it'll be a great win for them. They barely missed the playoffs last year, hoping the tiebreakers were wrong. We talked to Pasca. They didn't get in. So congratulations on a good season so far to you guys.
All right, so here's my take on this whole thing. The Rugged Rams and 41 Sports Bar are the same team. They are very, very organized. They practice. They're together. This is not street football. So if you come playing street football like I believe the Cannon Barrel Pub team does on occasion, I think that's where you get in trouble. Yes, Brad will probably get some pressure against him, but I'm sure they put pressure against the Rugged Rams quarterback and you see what happens. I think for the Cannon Barrel team to be successful, they're going to need to use their big offensive line and do some running. They need to run. They need to run successfully to open up play action and longer passes down the field. But I'm with you guys as far as the Titans. Because of the organization, I think they mirror the Rugged Rams and get the victory to move to 5-1.
But to your point, what you just said, if they can run the ball and get physical with the Terry brothers and whoever else they have on that line, on both lines actually, then that'll keep the Titans off the field. And that'll protect their quarterback who's struggling to put points up. Sometimes it's not every long drive doesn't need to produce points. It just needs to kill time.
Right.
If you go on a 6-7 minute drive and you don't get any points, now they have the ball. They have to come down and they have to earn it. It'll keep the game in a one-possession game throughout most of the time. Now, you don't want to have too many of those where you keep the ball and don't put any points up. But as long as you're able to do that and keep their offense and their quarterback off the field, then you're in a better position. And it helps you protect your backup quarterback as well.
All right, I concur and he agrees. All right, so at this point we're going to move on to C Division in Albany. Now this is a good game here. I'm assuming this is the best game you could pick because it doesn't seem like it's the best.
So here's the thing.
Maybe the Scrapers got on him too much, so he's giving them some
TV
love.
I mean, the Scrapers have absolutely hated on me on their Facebook page. Some of them saying we don't even want to earn your respect. They just don't care. But others have been very amicable and laughing and joking and realizing that on the show, we're trying to make picks to stir people up. That's the point of it. We can't pick every team, dummies.
Can I stop you for a second, though? Was it just you or all of us?
No, they hated me for the most part.
That's very strange.
Why did you say that we didn't?
I think they just know who I am a little bit more, so they just hated on me.
It had nothing to do with your weight.
No.
Right.
I'm a slim 250. Yeah.
All right. What size are you? Because Danny's a 4.
I can't even answer that. But those skinny jeans did look fabulous, did they not?
Wow.
So the reason why I picked this game
As the only straight guy up here, apparently.
Hey,
the Scrappers at 4-1.
Boo's not a Tucker. I'm straight.
That's yet to be determined in my mind.
And Boo's gone bye.
We love you, Boo. But
Danny checked.
Boo's gone bye-bye now. Deuces, Boo.
Can't even focus. Back to what I was saying.
All right.
On paper, 4-1 Scrappers, 2-3 Avengers doesn't look like a good game.
No.
However, everyone has said the Scrappers are a product of their schedule. They played 4 bottom feeders, and then they played the Bombers. It went into overtime, and I believe the Bombers won by 1 point. The Avengers only lost 1 or 2 games all of last season and were a very high seed in the playoffs and have started off a little shaky due to some new pieces and getting a new O-line. So I think if you polled the regular Albany C Division player, they would say the Scrappers' record is a little bit better than it should be, and the Avengers' record is worse than it should be. So will they kind of conform to the median of where they should be talent-wise?
Gotcha.
So that's why I picked this game, regardless of the records.
Okay, but you also wanted to get a little talk going involving the Scrappers. It's good for TV.
Talk is always good.
So
Yeah.
if I understand you correctly, the Scrappers beat up 4 scrubs.
Correct.
Got mad at you because we weren't giving them the proper respect.
Correct.
Word.
So now they go and play a 2-3 team.
Say it.
If we pick them to win, they're
Right.
playing a 2-3 team. They should win.
Should win.
If they lose this game to a 2-3 team, oh, you're gonna get destroyed. Don't talk smack. He's one of us now. I mean, except for the Fogham thing, but he's on our team.
Right.
So you
He's
asked
not on our
us-
team, though. He's on another team.
He's on another team, but
On
he's
a lot of teams.
He's on the TWIFF team, the This Week in
Oh,
Flag
this-
Football.
oh, I got you.
Yeah, the
All
TWIFF
right,
team.
I got you.
Not the Fogham team.
Not the Fogham.
Not the Fogham. He's on his own team there.
Gotcha.
Him and Danny.
Whoa!
Oh!
You don't ask for us to get on the show and give you some love, and then you go out and lose. So I'm going to pick you. And much like I tell other teams, if you prove me wrong, we'll apologize. If you beg for us to pick your games, you go out and lay an egg, oh, you're going to get dump trucked the following week. So good luck. I'm going to pick you, and I'm hoping that you prove us right.
I'm sorry if you mentioned this already. Please bring it up again. The Scrappers' only loss was to who?
The Bombers this week in
Okay, that's
overtime,
right. You
12-13, I believe.
Okay, all right. So the Bombers are a very, very good team. So
Physical
that's
team.
not a bad loss in
No,
my mind.
no.
But the 4 victories, as you mentioned, were a product of the schedule. So with that said, this is going to be interesting. Let's start with Colin, as always.
I'm going to take the Scrappers just
Okay.
because they want us to. And if they win this game,
Oh, that's fine.
they move to 5-1, good job. You should be the 2-3 team.
All right.
But if they should lose,
So I'm going to
I'm
give...
kind of secretly hoping they lose just so I can destroy them. I shouldn't have said that if
you
it's
better
a secret.
look. Let's see what happens with him. If he
They
gets
don't have
bashed
my
now.
Facebook.
No, but
They don't
I'll
have to.
watch theirs.
Yeah, it's
So-
their Facebook.
Oh, I
So
don't care.
it's Scrappers Nation. It's a Facebook group.
Okay.
Hail to Hudson.
4-1 against Scrubs.
So here's a little piece of insider information.
Hail to Hudson.
That's where they're all from. So there was a post on the message board this afternoon.
Oh.
It says, I forgot exactly what it said, but the basic message was the Scrappers, I'm using their words, whoever posted it, are the ghettoest team I've ever seen except for SOS.
What?
If they ever play each other, it's going to be, I don't know, police are needed or a fight's going to be called or something like that. So obviously, being curious as to who posted it,
Yeah.
I clicked on the link and it pops up the email address of the poster as long as they signed in as someone. And the email address was frankraj@yahoo.com. Now, I will say that's not his email address,
No.
but that's very tricky to whoever posted that. Yes, now they may get
If I were
suspended.
you, I'd
and-
sue him for identity theft.
Look, I don't, except my forum page, I don't really care about the other stuff. But, Frank Raj, Yahoo, that's definitely not me. I'm glad you brought that up, though, because I'd like to know what's out there. But I'm sure most people know that's not me. I would say that on the air. All right.
All right, so I honestly don't know who to pick. I think the Scrappers have a fast D-line, and that's key because the Avengers love to run. Their quarterback is very mobile. So here's what I'm going to say, and it's a little bit of a cop-out, but Tymier Mallory was not there for the Avengers this week. If he's not there again, the Scrappers win. If Tymier shows, I think the Avengers win because if you have a mobile quarterback with arguably the fastest player in the C's in Tymier, you run that option, it's almost impossible to stop. I don't think Tymier is going to be there. So Scrappers, I'm giving you some love even though you lost to Bombers because of how you lost to Bombers.
Tymier
You
should
lost
be
an...
his anyway.
Agreed, but to his credit, he's coming off a major knee injury and considers himself at 75%, so he's trying to rehab in the C's. And he's trying to work on getting a better set of hands. That's just my personal
This is
opinion.
Taimir you're talking about?
Taimir. Showtime, Mallory.
No idea he had knee surgery.
So he hurt it in
can't-
co-ed last year.
Because he can't afford the knee surgery, so I don't.
So I'm going to pick the Scrappers. You
in
proved,
co-ed.
yes, he was on the Renegades for the first week or first 2 weeks of the season last
Oh,
year.
that's why.
Did he sign the waiver?
He did sign the waiver.
Good.
You'll be getting a suit in the mail.
Three-piece?
Cummerbund included. So I'm going to pick the Scrappers. You guys hung in there against the Bombers. That impressed me. Prove me right again, or I'm not picking you ever again.
All right, you already stole my thunder. I had that
apologize.
big piece of information that I was going to go with for the Scrappers. But what I'm going to tell you guys is this. I agree with Rocco. Here's the deal. The Bombers are better than the Avengers, in my mind, by a decent margin. The Bombers are no joke. They play everybody tough, whether it's the top team or the bottom teams. Pause. But either way, I think that was not a bad loss for the Scrappers. So I think they beat the Avengers based on that game, as you brought up before. And I'm not going to be worrying about Taimir Mallory or his knee or whether he can get a ride or how the taxi cab service or bicycle services are going that day.
Who's that,
All right?
Phil?
Oh,
All right, so I'm going to
4
go with the
minutes.
Scrappers there. So we're down to 4 minutes, and we've got a big game here. This is the Falcons and Dream Team. Now, really interesting, guys. I don't know if you knew this, but the Dream Team lost a tough game this past Sunday. And who was that to? I can
I
look
believe
it
it's
up.
to the Thrashers.
Nope, it was not to the Thrashers. So if you're going to give information, make sure it's
That's
accurate.
why I said I believe. I did not
All
say
right, make sure it's
definitively.
accurate. Okay, so the franchise beats Dream Team 20-0. All right, that's a little bit of a surprise to me. Not that the franchise won, but it wasn't a closer game. I don't know what's going on because Dream Team is a really good team. They were 3-1 coming into that game, and they looked like they would make some noise as far as at least trying to get into the top 4 of the Schenectady C Division. So that's concerning to me. The Falcons, they lose 26-17 to Bronx Street, but I officiated that game, and that was an unbelievable game. Both teams had great opportunities to win, but the Bronx Street Thrashers, in my opinion, and I told their coach this, they probably played the best game of this season and maybe even the team's career because of the way they stuck together. Their offense, defense, and special teams all came through at critical moments of that game. So there's just a little insight.
Come a long way from when they first came into the league.
Absolutely,
Very true.
yeah. So there's, and they're just very organized, and they come 24 deep. They're warming up constantly. So I mean, yeah, no, I apologize for the pause on that one. It's late. But anyway, here's the game. The Falcons and Dream Team, they're both 3-2, and that's why this is so interesting because a loss is devastating.
This is a 3 and 4 teams in Schenectady right now. Top 4 definitely make the playoffs in Schenectady. 1 wild card coming from either city. So this game, like you said, huge playoff implications.
Yeah. So anything else before we go to Colin with his pick?
No.
Okay, there you have it, Colin.
I think Dream Team had a devastating loss. A 20-0 loss this late in the season. I think there's going to be a carryover effect. Falcons had a better loss, if you will. They both had losses last week.
Right.
They played a tougher game, lost to a better team.
Right.
I think because of that, they have more, I don't want to say more to grow and develop from because it's still the loss, but I think that was a better loss for them. They'll handle that loss better than Dream Team will getting shut out by a team they probably should have beaten.
Good point on that one.
So I'm going with the Falcons.
Yeah. Fogham?
To me, the Falcons have been one of the best running teams in the C's for years. I think they always are that second or third best team in Schenectady the past few years. I'm picking the Falcons. I don't know what's going on with the Dream Team. I'll do my best to try to find out. Was it a major injury? What was it?
Right.
I'm not sure, but a 20-0 loss to franchise tells me a lot. The Falcons, like you said, hanging out there with the Thrashers, who are probably the second best team in Schenectady. Falcons for me.
Yeah, no, it was a tough loss for the Dream Team, as we just mentioned, and without knowing all the details, it's difficult to determine why. But at this point, we have nothing to go on, so I think that's why all of us are looking at the Falcons in this case to go to 4-2. That would put the Dream Team at 3-3. Now, I believe they've played all the tough teams, so they might have a couple easier games for their last few, and that will bump them back up to the playoffs. If they go 3-3, they'd have 3 remaining. Maybe they can win all of those and finish 6-3, which certainly should make the playoffs. The other thing I wanted to say is the Thrashers are already saying, because of my predictions in the past, that they are going to finish 7-1. Excuse me, 8-1. 8-1. They've already said it, even though they have to play SOS again.
Wow, I like the confidence.
Right, so that's what they said, because I put them at 6-3, and they were not happy about that.
I mean, Jerome called me today and asked me what I can do to get 3 or 4 more SOS players suspended.
Right.
So that might be kind of playing into it. I'm not sure. Jerome will talk.
Right. So maybe I don't know if that's the key or not, but I'll tell you what. This is the time of the year and the season, of course, where things become even more and more intense. I know this, and I think, Colin, you can either concur with this or agree to it, which is the same. What happens is, as officials, we know this. As the season progresses, things get so intense that the bashing of officials, other teams, and players become more and more involved and critical.
I concur 100% because everybody they know what's on the line, so anything is always somebody else's fault. A bad call, the ref doesn't like us, he's got it in for us. No, just play the game. The refs don't care who wins anyway, so just play the game.
That's all there is to it. On that note, folks, we're going to see everybody next week. For Colin Martin, Rocco Tobin, Leger, and Frank Rogers, we will see everybody next week. Be
Peace
safe.
out, boo.
Peace. You out.